everybody, so donnellsstichery here, and today I'm going to teach you guys all how I try and make my fuzzy sock kittens, which is this right here. Isn't that just absolutely adorable? We got the adorable little face, the little paws, back and front paws, and a little tail that is curled around with a little matching bow on it, ribbon around its neck. And today I'm going to show you how I do this. So let me set that little guy right out to the side over there. And first off, all you need is one pair of fuzzy socks. One pair of fuzzy socks makes one kitten. And you need a good pair of scissors. I use these right here. And I just got these off of Amazon. You could get any pair of scissors you want. I recommend not using your fabric scissors because it can possibly get all fuzzy and dusty fairly quickly. For the face, you can try and use buttons or whatnot, but I like to use this thread here, this embroidery floss. I cannot really see the name on this here, but I bought it in a large bundle off of Amazon. And you can get it in multiple colors or whatnot. I just do mine all in black. It's less complicated. I have these little plastic bobbins for embroidery floss that I wrap it around. For the needle, I don't know the size of this needle, but it's a large eye needle. Let me see if I can't get it up there. There you go. So nice large eye needle. This nice blunt edge, so it doesn't hurt too much if you try and poke your finger on it. And then for sewing the kittens, I just use a spool of white thread. And it doesn't really matter what color the sock is, you won't see the thread. So, first of all, and that's all the supplies that you need. Oh, and the ribbon, of course. But you can try and pick and choose what ribbon you want, or you can go with no ribbon at all. Your decision. And for the ribbon, I just try and do probably about 12 to 18-inch long cut. I tie it around the neck to nice little loose bows, and then I try and just trim the strings to how long ever I want. So first, you're going to take one sock and we're going to flip it right side out. And what you want to do is get it so that way there. The top of the sock is going downward. We want the little strip right there, the seam for the toes, to be as close to the top as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect. I stretch my sock out, make sure my heel is nice and poofy, and everything else is nice and tight. And then, so this first one here, we're going to start cutting out the head and the tail because that's the easiest ones to cut. The head, so the heel of the sock ends about right here. Right here where that dark blue line is. So we're going to cut up here about where the white line is to pink. So I usually go about a finger's width up, and then I cut on this side. And I just cut straight across. Now you want to make sure you're using a good pair of fuzzy socks for this because if you use the ones that are knitted, where it has like that crochet knitting to it, those don't work because it will fall right apart. So we have this cut off. And beware, this does cause a lot of fuzz on all over the place. I usually walk away covered in it all over my shirt and my pants. So it can be messy, but it's fun. So we have this here cut right where we had cut it at. Up here you see the seam. We're going to take this end of the seam and this end of the seam, fold them where the seam is facing out, and the two ends of the seams are touching. Make sure everything's nice and even. The sock is all tucked in there nice and neatly. Then we're going to come over here, right below the seam. So right about here is the seam. So we're going to come down about an inch or so. And we're going to cut across about an inch, and then we're going to diagonal down. That way there, we just created the ears and the top of the head. So if you open it up, you got the ears on both sides and you got the top of the head. And now we're just going to take a pin. I just try and pin over on each side like this right here and hold it until I hold it in place until I get ready to sew this piece. Now I'm going to set this off to the side. We're going to come over here to the remainder of that one sock. We're going to open it up and we're going to make the heel like if it was really actually the rest of the sock still holding on to it. And we're going to pin up here at the top. You don't need to go over too far because this cut here for the tail is going to be about a thumb width apart, wide. And as far as how down you want to go, I usually go about, I don't know, I use mainly I just try and eyeball it. What you can do is take your finger and lay it over here and go down about the length of your finger, which if that was the case would be ending over here around the white. Me, I'm going to make this one here a little extra long. Sometimes I like a long tail cat. Sometimes I like a short tail cat. It really never really actually matters. So we're going to go about, lay our thumb here, and we're going to go about that width. Really doesn't matter too much as long as you go, I would say probably about 2 inches, inch and a half to 2 inch. But we're just going to follow that heel around. We're going to come down and we're going to trim right there. This here is scrap. Not using this for anything else. You can use it to fill up the sock if you want, which I have done. This here is going to be your tail. So now what I would do is take this pins and reposition. Make sure everything stays nice and lined up. You do want to make sure that you pin on this. For this project, you're going to need to pin and keep everything lined up nice and evenly. I usually do 3, but in this one here, I'm doing 4. So now we're going to set that off to the side. And then this is our scrap left from this sock. We got the little cap here. And we got the cuff with the remainder of that. And we can use all that for stuffing. Now we got this other sock. We need to make the body. So we're going to take this and we're going to turn this right side out, right inside out, just like we did before. We're going to lay this down and get this all nice and floofy on the heel, just like we did previously. But this time around, we are going to, I need my other batch of pins over here. I have a couple different batches of pins. This one here consists of a lot of pins that my grandmother gave me. Or that I inherited from my grandmother when she passed away. Not so much gave me. But this time here, we're going to take the heel and we're going to make sure it's nice and flat down here towards the bottom. But with the heel sticking up. We're going to fold this heel over. We're going to take this side to this side to match up right where the heel is starting to fold. And we're going to pin there. Going through both sides to hold both the sides of that heel closed. Then we're going to take right where the toe seams up here match up. And we're going to pin there. Right just below it. Then we're going to come down here to the other end. And we're going to take the sock and fold it right in half. Try to make sure we keep everything lined up nice and evenly. And we're going to pin that. That way there, everything's pinned nice and evenly right in half. No major creases or anything like that going on. So what I like to do is I like to fold this right in half, right where the heel is. And match up my 2 pins. So that way there. Because these 2 long lengths here are going to be the legs of my kitten. So I get everything lined up nice and evenly. And then I put my thumb right here, right where the seam is for the toes. I put my thumb right underneath that. Right below that is where I'm going to cup to form my legs. So I'm going to put my other thumb there to hold that place. Well, I just come over here and cup right across. And these here, I'll take the pins out. Or I'll just toss it all over the place. So we'll take the pins out of that. And we'll save that to go into our kittens. So for the length of the legs, what I do is I take the portion that I just cut right here. First of all, what I'll do is I'll pin this to keep those two edges nice and even and up against each other. Make sure that there's no creases on the inside in here of the two layers. I'll lay my thumb or the sock right up against the base of my thumb. That way the bottom of the sock right where I cut is right up against my knuckle on the inside. Right here at the top of that line where the white comes up at, where my thumb stops, that's how far up I want to cut this crease over here. So not the part that's open on the outside over here where it's open. We want the side where it's folded at. So I just put my scissors right in there and I cut it. And that would give me the two legs on this end. Because if I open it up, now you see I have the two legs. I'm just going to pin a pin up here at the top of each one. I'm keeping this pin to the center for right now because that's what helps me figure out the exact pointing and keep it all nice and folded up nice and neatly. Now I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. Over here is the fold. This is the outside of the socks right here. So right here's the fold. I'm going to lay it right up against the part of my thumb. Nope, actually first I'm going to pin this side over here. And then I'm going to put my thumb over here and I'm going to go, okay, right here is where I want to cut to. So now you can mark it with a pen, which I do on my solid socks whenever I don't have something to look at to grab it to help me figure it out. Cool thing is with these fuzzy socks, you can actually touch the scissors right there where you want it to cut at. And then it's going to pin this. Take that pin out of the center down here and pin this one over here. And now we have the body of the cat that has the slit for the two legs. And the heel of the sock on this in here is now going to be the hiney or the bottom of the kitty cat. And we'll be attaching the tail to that part. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sew this. So I take a nice big long piece of thread here. I know people say don't do this. Only go arm's length. You can go arm's length if you want. This is just the way that I like to do it. Because in my room, it's my rules. Now I take my needle and thread it through. Don't need a super tiny needle for this project because of the fact that you're going through this thread. Through the fuzzy socks, which is a loose thread anyway. So a super tiny needle for hand stitching just seems like a waste of time, in my opinion. So what I do is I double over my thread. I stick it through the eye, and I only bring it about halfway down because once I put the needle through the sock, I'm going to bring it back through and stick it through this hoop. Let me show you. So I'm going to put it through here, both layers. And this is the edge over here, the straight edge, not the rounded edge of where the tail end of the tail is going to be, but the straight edge. Hook around, and that's going to create a knot for me. And you could do it again if you want, or you just try and hoop it around. However it is that you want to create your knot is completely fine. And what I do is I go in and out, and then I come wherever I came out at, I go right behind it to go in and out up ahead. So that way there I'm doing like a backward stitch. And then I just take my needles out as I go. And it is that easy to cut out your pieces. And you can go however you want of how big of a tail or how wide of a head, how long of a head, how long are the legs that you want, whatever you want, whatever looks good and feels comfortable to you. There is no rules in this. You got to just toy around with it and see what works for you. For me, I just watched some videos of someone else doing it that had no instruction whatsoever, and then had to figure it out for myself. But it was enough of a video that I was able to figure out the foundation of how to get it going. So we'll get this sewn up. This is the part that takes the longest, which is the sewing of it all. Part I hate the most because it takes the longest, but it allows me to do hand stitching that is not required to be 100% perfect. And yes, you guys probably hear Quasar over here. He's been a little noisy because I've been downstairs working all day, and right now he wants attention, and I'm not giving it to him. But he'll get attention and treats when I'm all done. And then just as you go, pull out your needles. And you want to be careful because you don't want to stick yourself with your little pins. So I go about a quarter to a half an inch below. And then as you just see me, I just come in through the back side, bring my needle or my thread that's hooked around the needle down here up, twist it around twice, hold it with my other finger, and then pull my needle through. That way there, it's nice and a nice little knot. And then I trim it. And then what you do is you take your finger in, put it over your finger like a glove. You hold it with your thumb as you pull it back through to turn it right sides out. And then you have your tail. Now to stuff this, what you can use, so majority of time for stuffing my kittens, I use this right here, polyfill. It's fiberfill, polyfill. You can get it in smaller bags. You can get it in that size bag or whatever you want. But for right now, we are going to use this, which is the scrap pieces of it. So I put my 2 fingers in here. There's just enough opening where I can be able to push this down in here. And this is great because this also means that you have 0 waste. And then you just keep going until you get it filled to the consistency that you want. Make sure it's nice and fluffy. And as you can see, I'm already starting to get fibers up here, which is fine. It's normal. And so what I do when I'm done is I tuck the ends inside. Try your best to keep all those loose fibers from coming out. I put my needle in through one little section there. And then I just try and twirl it around on my finger twice. Get myself a nice little knot. Or technically a nice big knot. Because you want it to be a nice big knot since it's loose threads. So, a nice big huge knot right there. And then you just go in and out across the thing. Across the top of it up here. Until you get back around where you started. Push everything inside and you pull the string nice and taut. Once you got it all nice and closed up, I just loop this around. Helps keep it all confined to inside. And then you have a tail here that is all ready to be sewn on. And this thread here is garbage. So now I do have one that is almost completely fully sewn off, because you're going to do the same process for the head and the body. And I'll show you in just a moment where you sew at on the head and the body. But I do have one that is already sewn, just to save some time on this video. So technically, what you would do is you'll take the head and you'll sew from one end of the ear down and over, and then you'll flip that, like how I have on this one. So this one here already sewn up. If I flip it back around, you can see the crease there of where I sewn. And then you just flip it right side out. Put your two thumbs into the ears and push through. So that way there, then you got a nice little head right there. Now I just like to stretch it out a little. And then we take some of the scraps here and fill it up. And you see this one here is very floofy. Fuzzy fuzzies all over the place. Take that little scrap, tuck it down into the ears. And since that is the last of the leftover of that sock, what we'll do now is take a little bit more of the fiber fill, just to fill in any empty spaces. Oops. Cut this up into smaller pieces so that way that it fits down in there better. And it's okay to stretch it out some. The more you stretch it, the more nice and plump that the head is going to be. The head and the body and all. And that should probably be good. So we're going to take our needle, go in one side hoop it around the hook of the needle, or you can make a knot, whatever you prefer, and then go back from the outside in. And I'll probably be filling more for this when I get back around. So I just go a running stitch all the way around to close this up. And we're almost back around to the front of the head. Hey, we still got a little bit of room left in here for some more fluff, so we're going to stick this down in here. And then as far as this exterior portion, we try to put that down in there too. That way there it keeps all that fuzz from leaking out and everything, keeps it nice and contained to the inside of the head. We pull it nice and tight. And then what I like to do is hook it around my finger like that until I can get through here. I go in from one side all the way around to the other. Then just do it over a couple places there to make sure that that does not break loose, because I don't want my insides coming out. I don't want the head to come apart. We gotta keep our heads together. And there is the cute, adorable little head. And a lot of this just fuzz on here. You can just pick all that off. And there's our cute little head. Let me go ahead and stuff the matching tail for this one here. And I just pull little pieces of the polyfill out of the bag. And I just keep stuffing it until I get my desired fluffiness of the tail. Now I tuck the edges inside, the raw edges. And if you guys would like to see this on a live stream, let me know in the comments, because I can always show you in a live stream as well. I just need to know in advance so that way there is, so I can have my station all set up for that. And then just do a running stitch all the way around, while trying to keep the raw edges on the inside. That tail is done. Now we just got to do the body. Now for the legs and the body, I already got one side done. As you can see, I got one side that's still pinned and one side that's not. And that's because I already sewn up this side of the legs. So I just start from one end, sew across the bottom of the foot, down around the crease of the legs. We go across, down this way, and we just do a running stitch. Nothing too special or anything. Let me get a nice thick, nice long thing of thread. Because once we get this part done, then I can show you the next step where I flip this right side out and we start putting the body stuff it and then start putting the body together. So over here, we got the legs here. I can bring my needle up through the edge of the foot over here. Hook it around or knot it however you feel that you want to knot it. And then I just do a running or a back stitch on this. Sewing at the body is the part that takes the longest, it feels like. And that's, I think it's because of the fact that you got the two legs on each end. And because it's also big, a lot bigger than what the head and the tail is. I just do this all the way around. Now, in a video I watched, people would leave it open down here and then use that to flip it open or flip it right side out. I found that it's easier for me just to make a little slit right where the tail is going to be sewn on at, because the tail is going to hide that stitch. But yeah, if you would like to see me do this on a live stream, then let me know, because I have no problem showing this on a live. I mean, I have done this once before on a live stream, which was my very first video ever. And oh my gosh, I had horrible camera, horrible angle. I was super nervous. Oh my gosh. Because I mean, it was the first time I ever did this on a live stream. It was my first time ever doing a live stream. So I was 100% newbie. Never done recorded videos or anything. I went straight into live streams. Now I have had people ask me if I could do other animals. I do want to start doing some dogs as well. I just have not had the opportunity or the time to learn how to do the dogs. So I'd have to figure out how to do the long ears and everything and stuff like that. A little bit different shape and all, so I'd have to figure that out, but have not had the time to figure that out yet. So, all right, we have the body here. The legs are all sewn up on both ends. The pins are all removed. We have the heel right here. Foam of the heel of the sock. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and, so we always going to have where one is going to be closer to the heel than the other, or that's the way it's supposed to be. Mine usually winds up being about middle, but that's okay. So I'm going to come down here to the bottom of the heel, which is about where my tail is going to be. I'm going to come in the sock and back out. And you want to make sure that when you pull it, before you cut it, So that way there, you know for sure that you're in just one layer, not going all the way through. And just go and cut it to where that way there it's big enough to put your finger in, and that's about it. And at that point, you're going to put one finger in, and you're going to use that to help flip the sock right side out. There's the first two legs in the upper body or lower body, whichever one it may be. And there's the others. So what I like to do is I like to stick my finger back in there once I get them all done. Make sure my feet are fully pushed out. And then this is also where we're going to put the stuffing in it. And I just take stuffing and I put it in here. I start with the legs. I do just two legs on one end, and then I flip it around to the two legs on the other end. And these make great gifts for kids, for moms. When I do my craft shows, these are some of my biggest sellers. I can always count on the fact that these are always going to be a great seller. Children love them to death. I mean, what kid does not like a stuffed animal, especially a fuzzy little sock kitten that they can have? And you can get socks in any color. I mean, I get big, huge bundles that has multiple different colors in them. So I can do every color of the rainbow. I do take orders for these, so if you are interested and you don't want to make one yourself, but yeah, you want one, you could always reach out to me. My email is always in the description box below. And I sell these for $5 a piece because it doesn't cost much of anything. The biggest cost is the my time, essentially. All right, so oh, more fitting down in here. A little bit more stuff. I love you too, Quasar. He's over here saying, I love you. And if I don't answer him, he'll just keep going. All right, so now I'm going to do a ladder stitch to get this closed up. And then we're going to start the assembly of our kitten. So to close this up, we have this hole here now. You see it's got much wider than just one finger. So we take this and we loop it around to create our little secure knot over here. And then what I like to do is I like to lay my finger across right here. And I go from up above to down below. And then I pull. Up above, down below, and pull. Now, if you do have to wash these in a washing machine, I would suggest doing it on delicate cycle because of the fact that they are hand stitched. I do not guarantee my hand stitching and machine wash. And when I get over here to the very end, I just hoop it around, then readjust my stuffing. And then I put my needle in and bring it back over here where the tail is going to go, because I got a nice long thread here and I don't want to cut this. So if I can hoop in through the rest of the fabric, then I will. Now this is the tail here, and this is where I sewed it closed. Cut way too long of a tail on that thread. There we go. So what I'm going to do is, since this is the end here where I stitched it shut, I'm going to bring in, but first I'm going to position how I want it. Because I like to put my tail like this, and then have it where I bend it down to and do stitching around the tip over here to hold it down. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to try and bring it in like this. And that's going to go ahead and get it right there. Now the hard part is going to be for me to show you exactly how I do my stitching here. Because what I do is I go in through the cap, up through the tail. I'm going to do that all the way around. See if I can't get a good view here on the camera. Yep, there we go. So right here is where I came out. So I'm going to move up just a little bit, a quarter of an inch or something. And each time I come out, I'm going to go up a quarter of an inch from where I just came out. And I'm going to do this all the way around. Let me bring the camera over here so that right there you guys can see exactly what it is I'm doing over here. So I need to be able to hold it this like this and everything, because this is my dominant hand, so I got to be able to hold it on this side with my left. Is this the part where it starts getting a little bit more difficult, where I got to be able to hold it down to hold it secure? And it really takes two hands. 3 of you got to volunteer. So I've not found a good way of using pins to hold this just quite yet. So and then you'll be able to put your finger down here to be able to know when you're back around to where you started. Because that's when you're going to knot it up and close up that stitching. And you want to make sure that your knots are nice and secure, because and little ones are going to be playing with it, so they're not exactly going to be the most gentle at all times. So I would suggest maybe even a couple of knots here in here, like I'm going to do with this one. Now, for this tail, I just bent it down over here. So for the needle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in right here at the seam where the tail is connected. So right here where the tail is connected at, where you see my thread coming out at, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to push the body out, or the needle out of the body over here. Over there, I can bring the tail down. And right here is where I'm going to start sewing the tail down. And I would advise trying making a knot right here too. Over there, it holds that tail in there. Yep. My thread trying to come out. So I have learned that since the little ones love this little tail, the loop of the tail, they think that that's like a little tail for them to swing it around, lollygag around with it. So got to be a little extra careful and make sure we knot that up nicely. help protect the kitty cat's tail. Now I'm going to knot this right here. Normally I go all the way back around to over here, but I need to get me a longer thread. I love you too, Quasar. Mommy will play with you in a minute, okay? Just keep being a good boy. Sorry, peeps. Quasar's wanting some attention, so. I already know with Quasar, if I don't try to at least acknowledge him, then he can get quite noisy. So we have this here. And I made my knot in there. I went through the hoop and I made a knot just to be on the safe side. Because we want to make sure that this tail is held down nice and securely. And we're gonna, so I started over here on the tail, so I'm gonna come back over to about right here. That way there, the whole tip of the tail is nice and secured down. Now you can use matching thread if you want. I've never really seen a purpose to because my thread is not usually able to be seen. Now I'm gonna make a couple of knots right here. I love you too, Quasar. Now what I do is I go in through here and I come out through the bottom. I lay this down, I pull the thread and push the body down so that way there, my thread is nice and tucked away on the inside of the body. You can't see it, I ain't gotta worry about breaking loose. So we have a body that is fully sewn and a tail that is hooked on, ready for some kids to be loving. Now we gotta put the head on. So now we're gonna take the head. You can look to see which way you want the front of the face to be. Or you can just do it how I'm going to do it. I'll just cut it going on there however it goes on there. Let me get a longer, fresher thread. I'll put that one off to the side because that one's still good to use on a tail or something. The tail or the head or something. One of the smaller components of a different cat. Because this head's going to require quite a bit of thread. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here. I'm put my needle through right through where the seams were at, where I closed up the head up. Hook it around so that way there, my thread is nice and secured into the head now. Bring it back through. Up, edgy. Now I'm going to put it, so right here's the feet. I come about an inch or two up and I hook it through here. And that's going to get my head started right there. Now I figure exactly how I want it. I usually do it like this right here. That way there, the head winds up being about like this. I keep my pointer finger over the head and I use the rest of my hand to hold it. And then I just try and do the same stitch I did for the tail onto the head. I do that all the way around. I like starting in the middle of the face and the arms right here, crease of the arms, so that way there, because then it gives me a starting and ending point that I always know where I started and ended at. And I always start and end right there. And I just do this all the way around. And I know it's probably boring sitting here watching me doing this sewing, but maybe one of these days I'll actually figure out how to do the speeding up of the video, because I'm brand new to learning how to do some of this stuff on videos of editing. So hopefully one of these days I'll figure that part out. Until then, if you want, just fast forward through this part. My feelings will not get hurt if you skip ahead. Now, as far as the face goes after this, you can try and either use multiple different techniques. I have tried using the safety eyes and nose buttons that you can get for animals, for stuffed animals and stuffed babies. However, because of how loosely knit that these socks are, I found that they don't exactly hold too well. And there's still a choking hazard with those for, like, if say your dog or cat gets, or for, like, say if your dog gets a hold of it and chews it up. That, which is why I like doing embroidery floss for the face, because that way there it's less of a choking hazard. I mean, obviously anything the dog eats of this is going to be a choking hazard, because none of this is safe for doggies. I am now back around to the front where I started. I'm just overlapping it a little bit. And then I am going to knot this. Sorry, I just realized I was not on camera. So I'm going back in just past where I started. And I knotted it real nicely. Bring my needle up through the back of the head and pull the needle out through that way. That way there I can tuck my thread inside of the baby. And we have a completed kitty cat that now just needs a face. Now for the face, I pull out a lot of floss. So as you see, I already had some here that was already cut. A nice long thread here, which would be good to get me started. And yes, I wet the end of the thread to make it easier, and I use all 6 strands at once. I don't knot the end of my thread. So over here where the ears are, let me see if I can't get this all straightened out. So over here where the ears are, so about right here is where the crease of the ear starts. So I come down, and that's about where I want the outside of my eye. And then I go across. Now what I do is I come over, over there, it locks in my stitching right there. If you guys just seen a light flicker, that was because the bird cage lights just went off over on the little bird's cages. Now, since I have that loose thread locked down, then I can Get that nice and finagled in there. Then to make it so that right there, you got the nose. What you do is you put the needle in over at this corner of the eye. You bring it out over at the corner of the other eye. And then you pull. And then you go back and do the same thing. This one here, I actually messed up on the face and eye a little bit, but that's okay because not every kitten looks identical. You can make them all the exact same color and wind up making faces completely different and giving them their own little identity. And then when I'm done with the eyes, I'll come down here to the nose, which I figure to be about halfway through between the inside of the eyes and center and down just a little bit. And from there, I just go like this to create the little nose. Try to overlap my stitching as much as possible to make a little bubbled up nose right there. And then once I'm happy with the nose, I'll come in over here at the center. So I'll come in, bring my needle in right at the center of the bottom of the nose, go down a little ways. Right there, I can create my little portion of the mouth right there. And this comes out so much better whenever I'm not trying to do this on camera, facing away from me. Just saying. So then once I'm down here, then I come over here and I bring it across. And give my baby a nice, cute little smile there. And then I come over to the center and connect that thread to over here. And the baby has a cute little smile. It's not the cutest little smile on this guy because his face is a little bit on the messed up side, but you get the idea. Now you do a little bit more work on the eyes. And then you can also try and do the same concept that I've been doing for the rest of the face here. For the mouth, the whiskers, you could do any color you want. But that's the concept of how you do the fuzzy sock kittens. And all you gotta do is just try and toy around with it and come out with whatever you want to get this cute little guy. And I hope you guys all enjoyed this tutorial that we did. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Let me know down in the description below if you would like me to do this on a live stream so that way there I can answer any questions that you may have. And in the meantime, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.